Ask Reddit, people who experienced ghost/demonic encounters. What's your story? For once I'm early to this kind of question, haha. I went to uni in South Africa and I lived in a flat/apartment that was next to a hotel. The Radisson actually. My light would every now and again switch itself on and off, which I figured was an electrical failure. But the creepiest would be if I left the room for a few minutes and came back to find the light on/or off. Like even the switch would be pushed down. I used to sleep with my curtains open. One day I woke up to go to the bathroom. It was very late, like 3 a.m. My room was across the restaurant. I saw a man walking across the restaurant in a tux and I was like, odd. There weren't usually any people up there at night. I come back from the bathroom and I see him walk past again, in the same direction. At this point I feel a little uneasy. I scooch closer to the window. Please note I'm in the dark while the restaurant lights are on, so I can see this person but they shouldn't be able to see me. The person again passes by headed in the same direction, and now I'm really creeped out because I don't see them when they come back. It's as if there are many people who look exactly the same who are passing by the same spot. Anyway, the third time around he stops. Turns and cups his hands around his eyes while looking through the window, as if he is looking right at me. I ducked, crawled out of my room and spent the night in the living room. LOL. I won't lie and say I'm a skeptic, but I'm definitely like, an ignorer. Like I never spoke about this while I lived in the place because that would make it real, but after I left I was like, that place might have been haunted, if hauntings are a thing. LMAO. Senior year in college I was working late at night on an editing project for the campus TV station, which was located in the basement of the oldest building on campus. It was generally agreed that there was a ghost or presence in the building because things would move or disappear for weeks only to reappear in a locked cabinet only accessible by moving a couch, etc. You get the idea. Anyway, back to the story. It was around 2 a.m. when I got up to go to the bathroom. Did my business, washed my hands, and went to wipe them on my pants as I walked toward the door when all of a sudden I hear the unmistakable, ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk sound of the manual paper towel dispenser behind me. I look back and there's freshly released paper towel hanging there waiting for me. Not to be rude, I grabbed the paper towels, dried my hands, said thank you to the room, and got the hell out. When I was pregnant with my second child I would have insanely vivid dreams. Usually just random things, but one night I dreamed about what I'd come to know as the Hat Man. I'll give a little background for context in the dream. My friend Anna recently moved to a different home, and her friend, Charlotte, moved into the old one. Me and Charlotte were only acquaintances, but since Anna had lived in the home I was very familiar with it. In my dream I was walking up to the house with my husband and my oldest daughter. I was coming to babysit for Charlotte. It was super foggy and dark with no other houses around it, nothing but a man sitting outside of the fence. He had his back turned to us, just staring at the house as he sat in a wheelchair. The feeling I had was extremely uneasy, and something about the man was just off. As we approached, I got the sense that this man wanted to get into the house but couldn't. He appeared to be middle-aged, nothing stood out besides the wheelchair, and his hat. It was a hat you'd see in a show like Peaky Blinders. The closer I got, the more I somehow knew that this was not a good person. In fact, he was not a person at all, but something pretending to be one, and the wheelchair was only a guise for him to seem like he was not of any threat. Don't ask me how I knew all this, it's just dream logic, I guess. I said to my husband as we came up beside him, almost passing the entrance to the gate, "Don't look at him, don't talk to him." For whatever reason I looked at his face then, and he started to change. I can't really describe what he became, but as it grew and morphed I could sense his anger fuming as he became this distorted, towering thing. We quickly rushed past him and into the house. He had disappeared. When I got into the house nothing was right, it was abandoned and dilapidated, save for a worn kitchen table with 3 little girls, all in the same onesie. I could see 2 were twins, and 1 slightly older. Now Charlotte only has 1 son and a toddler girl, and I have never babysat for her or met her children. I told Anna about the dream a few days later. I always tell people my dreams, I think they're entertaining and weird, and I'm sure anyone who has the misfortune of hearing about them probably just thinks the latter. She agreed it was a weird dream and said Charlotte had been talking about her son complaining of a ghost or something in his closet at night scaring him. She told Charlotte about my dream and shortly after she reached out to me privately, and what she said sent shivers down my spine. Before her daughter was born she had a miscarriage, twins. And her son had been intermittently telling her about some ghost that came out of his closet at night with a weird hat on. She also said she had been extremely depressed and feeling very off lately. Charlotte asked if I had ever heard of the Hat Man, but I never had, and just as well the hat in my dream wasn't the same type as the one her son described when he talked about the thing that was in his room at night. I told her all the details in my dream and we ended our convo agreeing it was very strange. I didn't talk to her again after that. Honestly, I had forgotten about all of it since I was so busy with a toddler and would be giving birth soon. My pregnancy was hard and postpartum was harder. I immediately had severe PPD, and honestly my brain went to some scary places during that time. I don't want to get into that part much, but I'm really lucky to still be here now writing this. One day a few months after I had my second daughter I laid down on the couch to sleep while the baby sleeps. I was in some weird half-dream, half-awake state when I heard and felt someone come to the edge of the couch, standing behind where my head was. I got the feeling it was a man and he was frightened. Just as fast as he appeared, he disappeared, and something was left standing behind him. The sense of dread I felt through my entire body was so intense. I felt heat burning through my body just before I jerked awake. As I opened my eyes, jolted upright and turning to face what was behind me, I caught a strange glimpse. It was something like a fleeting shadow, just a black outline/shadow type thing. A tall man, wearing a wide-brimmed hat, then in a blink he vanished. What the hell did I just see? What the hell just happened? I don't even know why I said anything, it just came out of me, why? And in a quiet, retreating voice that was not my own, but unmistakably a man's, I hear, because you invited me in. After the initial shock and questioning my sanity, I realized that whatever that thing was, it was the very same energy I had felt from the man in a wheelchair in my dream months before. I'm not one to believe in shit like this, and quite honestly it was the last thing I was thinking about since I was so busy and tired from the C-section and adjusting to a new baby. I googled the description of what I saw and scrolled through images. There it was, the dark silhouette wearing the same hat with the caption, "The Hat Man." I read so many articles trying to piece together this strange experience that made no logical sense. When I was 20 I moved into a house with my then girlfriend. It was a 3BDR rental in a decent part of town, and really, really cheap. The only downside was the landlord didn't live in my state and didn't speak English, so repairs took time. Thanks to a series of events involving my GF's job making her come into work and her brother being a flake, I ended up moving in everything by myself. 10 minutes into the move I had the first encounter. Out of the corner of my eye I saw a black dog looking up the stairs at me. I thought I was hallucinating from exhaustion, but then my dog, a large German Shepherd mix who was upstairs with me, walked over to the stairs and started growling, looking straight at it. The dog casually walked away. I ran downstairs and looked everywhere but couldn't find it. We both saw the dog a few more times, and had a few other weird sights/sounds/experiences in the house, but there was one that was beyond a doubt a paranormal experience. It was what caused us to move out. Our master bedroom was upstairs. It was a particularly hot summer and the old AC wasn't cooling upstairs very efficiently, so we slept in a bedroom on the main level that I was using as my computer room/guest bedroom. This room always had a weird vibe to it, and we had noticed that our dog, who typically followed us everywhere, would not go in. Instead, he would lay down in front of the doorway and wait for us. He was a little strange at times, so we wrote it off as that. At some point in the middle of the night, I woke up being violently shaken. As I came to, I could feel a hand firmly holding my arm and shaking me back and forth. Thinking the house was on fire and my GF was trying to wake me, I jumped up and turned around to get out of bed. That put me face to face with what a lot of people would call a shadow person. It was a black mass, vaguely in the shape of a human, but by the light of the streetlight outside of the window, I could clearly see it. I could feel freezing cold air pouring off of it. Thinking I was dreaming and my GF was still trying to wake me, I turned around only to see her still in the bed, still sound asleep. I turned back around, and the shadow was still there. Now wide awake, and full of adrenaline, I withdrew back away from it. After having sufficiently scared the bejesus out of me, the shadow slowly turned away from me, lumbered towards my door and out into the hallway. My dog, who was sleeping in the hall, woke up and skittered backwards into the bedroom towards me, terrified. I sat on the bed and collected myself, before jumping back out of the bed, and going to the hall. I turned the light on and of course, it was gone. I didn't wake my girlfriend up, but I also didn't sleep until the sun came back up. I told my GF about it the next day. We called the landlord, and told her that we were moving out. I told her the house was haunted and we were not staying after the current month. She seemed to understand and didn't protest it at all.